Imagine you want to buy a house. Now, get rid of your bank account. Forget wire transfers, mortgages, and every payment app on your phone. Okay, now take away all cash, not just paper bills, every single coin. It sounds completely impossible, doesn't it? Our economy would just stop. But 4,000 years ago, in the bustling cities of ancient Mesopotamia, people bought and sold houses all the time. They made the biggest purchases of their lives without a single coin to flip. So how did they do it? How do you buy a home in a world without money as we know it? The answer is a brilliant system of weighed silver, legally binding clay contracts, and clever ways of building trust that helped lay the groundwork for our own economy. First, let's clear up a common misconception. The ancient world wasn't just a giant flea market of simple barter. While trading your goat for a few sacks of grain might work for small deals, it totally falls apart for major purchases. You can't realistically trade 1,000 chickens for a two-bedroom house in downtown Babylon. The seller might not want that many chickens, and just imagine the logistics. Economists call this the double coincidence of wants, and it's a massive hurdle. To get around this, you need something everyone agrees has value. For many Mesopotamians, that something was silver. It was desirable, easy to carry, and its supply was relatively predictable, which meant it was a reliable measure of value. This was their go-to metal for big transactions, more than 1,000 years before the first coins were ever minted. But this wasn't silver shaped into neat, stamped discs. The money of Mesopotamia was often raw, unstamped silver, circulated by weight. It came in different forms, like chunky rings and coils that were easy to carry, or scrap bits and pieces known by the German name Hacksilber, literally hacked silver. Think of it as a wallet filled with broken jewelry and other silver fragments. Of course, silver wasn't the only thing they used. For everyday transactions, many people used barley. It was perfect for buying smaller things like bread or beer, since tiny weighing errors didn't matter as much. But when it came time for life's biggest purchases, silver was king. So, if your money is a bag of random silver chunks, how do you actually pay for anything? The answer lies with two key tools: the balance scale, and a unit of measurement that echoes through history, the shekel. Crucially, in ancient Mesopotamia, a shekel wasn't a coin. It was a standard unit of weight. Its exact weight could vary by time and place, but it was often around 8.3 grams. When it was time to buy that house, the buyer and seller would meet, probably with witnesses, and perform a vital ritual. They'd take out a balance scale. On one side, they'd place a set of standardized stone weights. Archaeologists have found many of these, sometimes beautifully carved into the shape of ducks. On the other side, the buyer would start piling on their silver pieces, a coil here, a fragment there, until the scales balanced at the agreed-upon price. Let's say a house cost 20 shekels of silver. You'd need to heap on enough silver fragments to perfectly balance 20 shekels worth of stone weights. That act of public weighing was the moment of payment. You've weighed the silver. Payment is made. But how do you prove you now own the house? There's no government land registry, no digital title, not even a paper deed to file away. The Mesopotamians had an even more durable solution: a clay tablet. A house sale contract wasn't just a simple receipt. It could be a highly detailed legal document, inscribed in the wedge-shaped script we call cuneiform. Thousands of these tablets have survived, dug up from the ruins of ancient cities, and they show us just how sophisticated these deals were. A typical house sale tablet would record key details to make the sale ironclad. It often described the property, not with a street address, but by listing the neighbors on its borders. This would precisely fix its location. It would state the exact price paid in shekels of silver, and list the full names of the seller and the buyer. And, most importantly, it would list the names of several witnesses who were there to see it all happen. Finally, the tablet would be dated, often by a major event from that year, like the year King Hammurabi built the Great Wall of Babylon. This slab of baked clay was the permanent, physical proof of ownership. A clay tablet is only as good as the system that enforces it. What's to stop the seller's kid from showing up a decade later claiming the sale never happened? The Mesopotamians developed several layers of security to build trust. First, there were those witnesses. Their names weren't just a formality. In a world where witness testimony could be more important than written documents, They were the community's living memory. If a dispute arose, they could be called to testify about the transaction they saw. The second layer of security was the ancient world's version of a signature, the cylinder seal. This was a small stone cylinder, intricately carved with a unique design, which an individual might wear on a necklace. When rolled across the wet clay of the contract, it left a distinct impression that was nearly impossible to forge. It acted as a personal signature and a notary's stamp all in one, legally binding that person to the agreement. The most important people, like the seller and key witnesses, would each roll their seal onto the tablet. And for some of the most important deals, there was a final, ingenious security measure: the clay envelope. The finished, sealed contract tablet would be wrapped in a fresh layer of clay, and the entire text of the contract might be written again on the outside. This envelope was then baked, sealing the original inside. If anyone suspected the outer text had been tampered with, the envelope could be broken open in front of judges to reveal the pristine, protected original. It was a low-tech but brilliant way to guarantee authenticity. With all this talk of weighed silver and legal clauses, it's easy to picture these deals as cold and robotic. But Mesopotamian culture often added a human element to the process. Archaeologists have found that many sale contracts record a curious detail. After the main price was paid, the buyer sometimes gave an additional, smaller, gift to the seller. Scholars still debate the exact meaning of these payments, but they're often seen as a goodwill gesture, a deal sweetener to make sure everyone walked away happy, and to turn a purely economic transaction into a social bond. It was a way of ensuring the seller felt so good about the deal they wouldn't cause trouble later. In some cases, selling family property could be a sensitive issue, and getting consent from key family members was important, making these social gestures all the more critical. So, the next time you tap a card or sign a mountain of mortgage documents, take a moment to remember the Mesopotamians. They built some of the world's first great urban economies, not with coins or computers, but with something just as powerful: chunks of weighed silver, incredibly detailed clay tablets, and an unbreakable system of promises, witnesses, and seals. They proved that the economy isn't just about currency, it's about creating a shared system of value and, most importantly, trust. If you found this look into the ancient economy fascinating, be sure to subscribe for more dives into the worlds of our ancestors. And let us know in the comments, what other part of ancient daily life do you want to understand?